This is a capstone project for Chemistry 1031, Section 30. The question I needed to answer for my project was, how can we stop air pollution that causes human disease? So I found that the main contributor to disease from air pollution is ethylene oxide. And the EPA classifies this as a known carcinogen, meaning it can lead to and cause different types of cancers. Ethylene oxide in the air leading to air pollution is caused by uncontrolled emissions from industrial power plants, and people that live near power plants are likely to be exposed to it, which increases their risk of cancers such as leukemia and lymphoma. Ethylene oxide is used in factories to make things such as antifreeze, plastics, and adhesives, and it's most commonly used for sterilization of medical equipment. One way we can reduce the use of ethylene oxide on the small scale, as said before, it is used to sterilize equipment in hospitals. So there are alternatives such as Sterad, which is a hydrogen peroxide-based agent, and it has been tested and has been found as an acceptable alternative for sterilization. There's also Steris, which is a parasitic acid-based technology. The only downfall of this one is the instrument has to be used immediately after sterilization, so it's not as practical as Sterid or ethylene oxide. On the larger scale of things, the EPA can regulate the industrial plants, and they have stated that they're creating rules for commercial sterilizers for the use of them. The EPA is also monitoring emissions, and they're working with routinely checking how much ethylene oxide is being emitted into the air, and how that can lead to different diseases around those who live near industrial power plants. And another way is just continuing to research alternative methods to ethylene oxide that are safer for the environment and safer for humans. Another common contributor to air pollution and human disease is carbon monoxide. It's mostly caused by carbon in fuels not fully burning, such as in cars and, again, industrial power plants. Excess exposure to carbon monoxide can lead to carbon monoxide poisoning, and this is when the oxygen in your red blood cells are replaced with carbon monoxide. So how can we stop carbon monoxide from being released? Well, we can convert to more green vehicles and use other sources of fuel. An example is electricity, which can be created by things such as solar, wind, and nuclear power. Electric vehicles operate solely on electricity, and they use charging stations such as like Teslas that everyone knows. There's also plug-in hybrid electric vehicles that run on electricity and gas. So there's less gas and less carbon monoxide emissions, such as Priuses. Another one is ethanol, which can be created from things such as sugar crops and cellulose. And it's 85% ethanol and 15% gasoline, and this can be found at many public pump stations. And they can be used in flexible fuel vehicles. And there's over 17 million flexible fuel vehicles in the US today, and many people do not know that their vehicle can take ethanol.